Hello and welcome to the Sensitive Soulful Women Summit. I'm your co-host for this show. My name is Mia Sines, and I'm really honored to bring to you the founder of this, Dana Canedo. She is so fabulous. I have to just share with you that I was deeply honored to be able to do this because the thing I love about Dana's work is she is truly into the body love essence and the divinity of who we are. And these are very powerful things. So I want to introduce you to your host. I want you to meet Dana. Hello, Dana.
Hi.
Welcome to your show.
Thank you. I'm just so honored and happy that you are welcoming me in today. So thank you for saying yes to this.
Oh, thank you. It's beautiful.
As well
Yeah.
as being this. Yeah.
Thank you. And I totally adore you. You know that. So this is cool. We have this Sister Love Fest going on always. So this is wonderful. So before I get into the interview with Dana, I'd like to ask you, Dana, will you share with the audience, please, what inspired you to create such a powerfully moving series for women? Because this series will change the way women feel about themselves and feel about other women. It gives them a sense of understanding.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Because this series is really, really important to me. I'm so passionate about it. And what really called me forth to it is, of course, my own journey, but also recognizing when I realized I was sensitive or highly sensitive, the level of awareness of who I am, like on a soul level, and why certain things would affect me, and how can I empower myself through that. And at the same time, recognizing that most of, and I'd say all of my clients are of the same nature and the struggles and challenges they were going through. And my heart just hurts for humanity and for sensitive women, people who don't realize how gifted they are and how much that they have to bring to humanity, and especially at this time. So I'll be talking about it a little bit in my talk, but there is this aspect of awakening that us beings are really here to awaken the planet, not just ourselves, to a place of grace, beauty, ease, love.
I love that, because the conscious awareness is been here, but people like you, and let me say like me, us who really love to support each other, this is where that conscious awakening is opening. Like you said, it's really powerful because we normally are here to serve a mission, but we forget through the birthing process, and then we spend our entire life. So this will help people move forward. I love that. Yeah. And so I want to see about getting into this beautiful talk, and I am going to read off my notes here, everyone, so please bear with me. So Dana is going to talk about the journey of sensitivity, from wounded to awakening, to reclaiming one's divinity. That's really powerful stuff. Very, very powerful. Will you share with us what body divinity is? And then we're going to go on from there.
Sure. Yes. So body divinity was actually just brought to me, as most things do when we're really connected in this way. And I was a little scared of it because it was when I was running my business as Body Awakening. And body divinity came through, and I sat with it for about a year. And as I was on my own journey and went through some really challenging times, and as I came through that portal, body divinity was very clear to me that the only way through to our divinity is to be with, listen to, and immerse ourselves in our body. Nourish, love, and not just the physical body, but the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual aspects of our body, and using that as the portal, the gateway to unravel and unleash all of the wounds and the stories that we're holding on to, so that we can express ourselves and our divine nature within the essence of who we are. Yeah.
Now, share with us how this relates to women, sensitive women, and then also the second part, which I'll remember to ask you again, is how do we get to the other side?
Yeah. So I know for me, even growing up, and because so many sensitive people, women, we love beauty, and when I say beauty, I don't mean that on like just the surface level. I think that's important too, but there's like a sacredness of beauty, of like, sacred spaces and nature and sounds, because we're so tuned in and tapped into our senses that what body divinity is really, and how it relates, is that when we're out of our body, which we can often do as sensitive beings and empaths because it's too scary or it's a way of protection, we can't tap in and tune into who we are. Right? We can't really hone in to the divinity of who we are. So within my work, I use the body as the gateway through many modalities, whether it's energy healing or movement or, processing, whatever needs to be done, as a way to excavate the illusions that we can often hold on to as a sensitive child. We absorb so much. We're absorbing other people's energies. We're absorbing their words and making them truth. There is such a pattern of unworthiness when it comes to sensitive women, especially women, because of the way that the system and society has portrayed women over the years and lifetimes. So it's coming back home and understanding the sacredness of who you are through your body. It's the best way to describe it. Yeah, there's so many aspects to it.
Before we get into the crossing over of how we can help people, I want to talk about, it really moved me when you said the word home. And the body connects with our soul, and that is our home. Would you like to talk a little bit more about the essence of our body being our home?
Yeah, I mean, and I just got chills when you asked that. It's almost like we can have so many homes. We can travel wherever we want. We can get new things, but the one thing that will always be with us is our body. Our body carries our soul. I understand that verse, we are not our body. I get that. But at the same time, in a way we are. Like, we're not, our body doesn't define us. That's what I want to kind of say. But it's like we do, it's the way that we nourish ourselves that enhances us on a soul level. So if we're putting junk in our body, and we're even through our thoughts and our words, then we are not going to be nourished, and our essence can't come through because we're in grief, or we're in despair, or we're in anxiety. And there's so many, that's not our, that's like, this is our home, this is our container, this is the place that we want to, when you have a new house, you're going to like paint it, and you're going to nourish it, and you're going to decorate it, and it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be that sacred space. So why not do that to this, this body, and just really take care of it and nourish it and understand too. I know you do a lot of this too, is so many of our emotions that come through our body are those divine messages, from our little girl who might be sad to our inner like high priestess or queen or a woman has such wisdom for us. And it's about, really tuning into that.
That's really beautiful. It's connect, when you said, I get that our body is not,
we are not our body.
Yes. Yeah. And that's true because of our spiritual essence, right? But I loved how you explained the body being home, because, I do this work too, but I know it as our temple. I know I have to now take better care of myself simply because I love myself dearly. And I do love, everything. I always say we have this beautiful, glorious body, let's love it.
Yeah.
But the way you made that, or the way you allowed that energy to flow through you, it honored it so much more. So I'd really like everybody to understand and maybe listen to that aspect again. Our body is our home, and it's beautiful. We're here to use it like we would a beautiful car or even a home. I imagined a home when you said that, and I was like, well, we want the roof on it, right? And we want, I love what you said. I adore this girl, guys. So, okay, would you like to share with us some ideas on moving from one space to another to be able to claim our body divinity?
Yes. And I'll speak to two aspects, because I think that's something that's so much in our collective right now, which is around grief and also those feelings of unworthiness. A lot of darkness going on in the world, and darkness is beautiful too, because we know there's always that light on the other side. Something to remember for yourself too,
Yeah.
But it's so simple. It really can be so simple, yet it feels, and I get it, so hard, because this is coming from somebody who is so disconnected, completely disconnected from her body for years.
Yeah.
Years. So what I've learned is that it really is taking that sacred space, as in time, to just be with the body. And I'm sure many listening are very empathic. It's being able to discern when you're in your energy and not somebody else's, or taking on somebody else's. So, how am I feeling in this moment? Touching your body, which really brings you into your body, putting your hands on your legs, hands on your stomach, and asking yourself lots of inquisitive questions, like, how am I feeling right now? Or noticing there's an emotion coming up. What is my emotion trying to tell me? And I know you do similar processes in this too, Mia, is, tapping into the inner child whenever we're having that tantrum or that sadness or that something's not going right, and we get all depressed and manic about it, maybe. Listening to the inner child, like, what is the inner child needing in that moment, and holding yourself, and it takes time, and it might take support, because it's not easy. It's not easy to hold even the inner child. You might think like, oh, that's so cute, I never thought of that, but I remember when I started doing this work, and there could be some resistance in it, so grief, dancing is a big piece of, I believe, moving the body and shaking it out and releasing it, is a really great way to release any type of negative energy that one.
I love that. Yeah.
Do. Yeah, it's like my go-to. I have a moment, I'm like, like dance where I just shake about in my apartment, put on lots of music, and so. But I think the main thing I want to say here is, and the simple thing that might not feel simple to do, but sounds simple, is that connecting with the body, listening, practicing, understanding, what do I want to eat? What is actually going to nourish me? What feels good? So it's kind of like that mindfulness,
Beautiful.
in the body.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And for all the sensitive women out there, which is just about all of us, and even the men, or even, and if I may say, even the people, unsure of how they were born into this world and who they truly are. We are sensitive beings. And I love that you said that you once were in this space. Yes, we all are until we're not, right? Isn't it that, like, that blind spot? We don't know what we don't know until we know it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I love the work you do. So what's another tool that we want to fill these people up? Good.
Yeah. Oh gosh, there's so many. Okay. So one that I love, and obviously much of my stuff is very body related. So if you're hearing me talk about connecting with the body, and there might be a lot of people, because I know this is a big thing for women, especially, of like, what that means to connect,
right?
It might be just as simple as like little rituals, of like in the morning, allowing yourself to, this is something that I had started doing. I was on like a shamanic retreat, and I just woke up one morning and I noticed I was doing it every morning, but I just kept putting my hands like on every single part of my body, and just feeling, and it really brings you into your own, into yourself. It's self-loving. That is a good practice. Like if you're doing it every morning or every night, and just be gentle with yourself, like one arm one morning, or, and just not ignoring the parts of you that you don't like. I actually did that for a while, because I was noticing, I'm not putting my hands on my stomach. And then I started doing that way more often. And my stomach has healed from that, because, so much on energy. And I'm sure many people listening, if they're sensitive, have experienced energy or energy healing, but there's a lot to say about that. And let me think, there's so many other tools that I want to speak to, aside from checking in and being mindful with the body, is this aspect is kind of like stalking self. So as sensitive beings, we often, we don't even realize we're doing it. We process very quickly. We learn very quickly without even really realizing that we're learning, which is a blessing and a curse, because we could also be listening to other negativity or our parents growing up and taking in all this, like their beliefs about money or their beliefs about this. And it's just like, we're like little, like excited children, like, oh, that's like some learning material, you know, and then, or we hear something bad about ourselves. And over time, there's that berating and that negativity and all of that. Paying attention, honestly, to like every single thing that you're saying to yourself, and maybe take 5 days to do it. And then write them down and understand it. And then you can actually better evaluate on a piece of paper of like, what am I actually saying about myself? Because as we know, what we're saying about ourselves is going to trickle out. You know, we're going to attract those situations that we are actually thinking about ourselves. Like we feel abandoned, or we're unloved or unworthy, and we will be experiencing situations where we are abandoned, or somebody, you know, it feels icky that we're unloved or whatnot. So that's another tool, like a self tool, that can be helpful.
Well, you know, I was, as you were talking, I remember you asked me a question probably a year and a half ago on an interview. I believe it was you. And so I want to ask you the same question because it made me aware of, and it changed my work of who I am in the body field besides the love field. But do you remember when you disassociated with your body the first time?
Oh yeah, this is heavy.
And if you're not ready to talk about it, it's okay.
No, I love that you asked this, because like 4 different moments came up for me now that you just said that. And so I'm going to go through these quickly, because I think this is important, of like what happens on our journey as a sensitive soul and why we can feel the wounded. And now we're in the awakening, right? If you're here, I am going to say that you're in the awakening, or maybe you've reclaimed your divinity and you're listening. It doesn't matter where you are. You might be in the wounded phase. I remember very vaguely at like 3 years old, I don't remember, or maybe 4. I don't remember what happened. I just remember freezing. I remember being in fear, and I remember just kind of leaving my body. Like it was unsafe to be in my body. I didn't have an experience where I was looking down on myself or anything. It was just an energetic experience of like, I have to freeze because this is the only way that I'm safe. Again, I don't have the exact, and I tried to figure that one out. And that's another thing I want to say. If we have these memories, we don't always need to know what it is.
Right.
And the energy around it. So I've had many different aspects of like disassociation for several different reasons. But what it boils down to, I think from that very first moment, was that unsafe, I'm a bad girl, unworthiness. So if anyone's listening and they understand, they're like, oh, you know, this is part of it. It's part of the excavating of like what we were tuning into when we're little, or maybe I was tuning into somebody else.
Yeah. Can I share mine quickly, simply because we might not be talking about it? And it's different in the sense that these can look different to every person because we're so different. But mine started at that age too. I remember I was about 4 and I wanted to play on the jungle gym, and these bear with me as I giggle here. The polyester miniskirt one-piece dresses that my mom used to put me in used to ride up. And I remember her being so, my grandmother was raised Amish. And so even though she became this magnificent metaphysical practitioner, apparently some of that obviously went into my mother's upbringing. And so my mom raised us with, it's horrible if you let boys see your yoni, well, she didn't use that word, or, you know, that kind of stuff. So I wanted to play so much, but I was embarrassed. And I remember pulling that dress down, not playing and just watching the other kids have fun. And then I just said, screw it, I'm going to play. So I disassociated from my body so that I could play. When really, I guess I needed shorts on underneath.
Aw, little girl.
So, yeah. So it can happen to.
Yes. It's so, you know, the body and the way that it's portrayed and how we are brought up thinking that certain things are dirty, you know, like sex or just it's such a shame.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
sad, because there is such a sacredness, a deep, deep, deep sacredness when it comes to the body.
Mhm.
And I just want to say one thing about the divinity piece, which I'm not sure if I mentioned at the beginning, but when it started, really, I started to understand what divinity is. It was actually what my biggest intention was anyway, going into the work that I do, and that's being able to be on this earth plane and connect not just to your own divinity, which is, we're
Mhm.
all a part of the same divinity, but to connect to a higher place where you can
Mhm.
really feel that like support and connection and divine love of like
Yes,
what we're being offered in this world, nature, everything. And there's the beauty piece too.
it is.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I truly love where you come from because this is really beautiful. I mean, knowing you all these years and the work that you do and how you treat people, it even comes through in your posts on social media, in your letters from your emails. It comes through who you are. And that's where people can learn and see, oh, this is a sincere, beautiful message is coming through because this person walks her talk.
Mm.
So I wanted to point that out because
Thank
that's
you.
really it's really powerful. And we're also running out of time. So I wanted to ask you if you'd like to share with the audience what your free gift is for them.
Yes. So I have a download for a meditation where you can just tap into
Nice,
your divinity of who you are and
nice.
really get into that visualization piece. And I'm also giving out a free session. So it's a half-hour
Mhm,
connection call, but it's really sort of like an activation of
mhm.
what it could feel like to tap into your divinity. And I'm doing it for the first 20 that download the free gift. Or
Nice,
actually, I'm sorry, the first 20 that email me.
right.
Yeah, there's going to be a link to email me. So
That's beautiful.
yeah.
So remember, everyone, download it, listen to it, email her because these spaces do go fast. She didn't tell me to say that either. I just know Dana and how we are all attracted to her work and to her. So thank you, Dana. That's really a
Thank
very
you.
generous gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been so wonderful to interview you, Dana, and so wonderful to be with the audience, your audience, as a co-host today. So I really appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been
Thank
an
you.
honor.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm.
And thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure being here with you, and have a beautiful day. And we'll see you in another episode. Bye.
Bye.